ng mga kabataan na mataan sa bubungan ng isang subway train sa New York City. Alamin ang malalim na dahilan ng kanilang pag-akyat sa transit mula sa mga detalye ng balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi, ako po si Nina Richie Alagao Flores at itong Mata ng Agila International para naman sa mga headlines ngayong Huwebes ng gabi. Bagyong Leon nakalabas na ng Pilipinas, Taiwan kasalukuyang hinagupit ng naturang bagyo. October inflation projection ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas nasa pagitan ng 2 at 2.8%. North Korean ICBM missile bumagsak sa malapit sa Japan at Russia. Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikat tiwalang malapit ng matuloy ang Lebanon-Israel ceasefire. At Google pinagmumulta ng napakalaking halaga ng Russia. Nakalabas na ng ating bansa ang Bagyong Leon ayon sa monitoring ng Pag-asa. Ayon sa datos ng State Weather Bureau na mataan ang mata ng bagyo sa hilagang bahagi ng Itbay at Batanes bandang alas 4 ng hapon. Gumagalaw ito sa direksyong pahilagang kanluran sa bilis na 25 km per hour na may lakas na 155 km per hour at bugsong 255 km per hour. Pero kahit nasa labas na ng Pilipinas ang bagyo, ay nakataas pa rin ang signal number 2 sa Itbay at Batanes. Signal number 1 naman sa natitirang bahagi ng Batanes, Babuyan Island, northern portion ng mainland Cagayan at northern portion ng Ilocos Norte. Ayon sa Pag-asa, paglabas ng Bagyong Leon sa Philippine Area of Responsibility ay tatawagin ito sa international name nito na Kongray. Kasalukuyang binabayo ng bagyo ang Taiwan at hindi sinasantabi ng Pag-asa ang posibleng paglandfall nito sa China. Trending ngayon online ang isang paksa ukol sa kung dapat nga bang ibalita na pumasok na ng loob ng Philippine Area of Responsibility o PAR ang isa pang bagyo. Naniniwala ang ilan na hindi raw ito dapat ibalita dahil ang terminong PAR ay isang technical word na tanging mga scientifico o meteorologists lamang daw ang nakauunawa. Anila kapag daw ibinalita na pumasok na sa PAR ang isang bagyo ay may mga Pilipinong nalilito kung ang ibig sabihin daw ba nito ay naglandfall na ang bagyo sa Pilipinas. Nagpapanik din daw agad ang isang karaniwang tao kapag lumabas ang news report tungkol sa PAR. Ngunit paliwanag ng mga meteorologists at ng Pag-asa, mahalagang ibalita na pumasok na sa Philippine Area of Responsibility o PAR ang isang bagyo. Bukod sa bahagi ito ng kanilang trabaho, importante rin na magbigay sila ng babala sa publiko ukol sa potensyal na weather disturbance na darating sa Pilipinas. Anila ang pagbibigay ng babala ukol sa sama ng panahon ay para rin sa proteksyon ng buhay ng mga tao. Nang sa gayon ay makaiwas sila sa anumang kalamidad gaya ng matinding pag-ulan, malakas na hangin, landslides at storm surges. Kung maagang maglalabas ng anunsyo ang isang weather bureau, ay mas mapaghahandaan ng publiko ang darating na kalamidad. Maaari silang mag-imbak agad ng pagkain, ayusin ang kanilang mga bubungan o iwasan na munang umalis sa kanilang mga tahanan. Malaking bagay din para sa gobyerno ang early weather warnings dahil naihahanda nila ang relief at evacuation operations. Nakatutulong din ito sa mga nagnenegosyo dahil nakakagawa sila ng adjustments para sa kanilang mga manggagawa. Mahalaga rin para sa mga magsasaka at sa mga mangingisda ang balita kung nakapasok na ba sa PAR ang isang bagyo dahil nagkakaroon sila ng panahon para ilipat sa mas ligtas na lugar ang kanilang mga palay at mga bangka. Dagdag pa ng mga eksperto, mahalagang sabihin kung papasok ng parang isang weather disturbance dahil kung walang area of reference ay mahihirapan at malilito ang publiko kung paano nilang paghahandaan ang isang paparating na kalamidad. Inihayag ng NDRRMC ngayong Webes na naglaan ng pamahalaan ang estimated 896 million pesos bilang tulong sa nasalanta ng Bagyong Christine at Super Typhoon Leon. Partikular na bibigyan ng tulong ang mga taga-Batanes. Ayon sa ahensya, kabilang sa mga ipamamahaging tulong ng gobyerno ay mga food at non-food items galing sa Department of Social Welfare and Development, Office of the Civil Defense at mga local government units. Samantala, batay sa pinakahuling situation report ng NDRRMC, umakyat na sa 150 ang bilang ng mga nasawi, 29 naman ang nawawala at 115 ang nasaktan. Nag-abot ng tulong ang United Arab Emirates sa mga apektadong pamilya sa Pilipinas ng Bagyong Christine. Pinangunahan ni UAE Ambassador to the Philippines Mohammed Obaid Al-Zabi ang pamamahagi ng mga tulong kasama sina Department of Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rex Gatchalian. Ayon sa embahada, nakatanggap ng tulong ang nasa 1,000 mga pamilya mula sa Barangay Malanday sa siyudad ng Marikina. Kasama sa ipinamahagi ay mga food packs na naglalaman ng mga bigas, delata, gatas, biskwit at iba pa. Ipamimigay rin sa ibang rehiyon ang naturang mga tulong na hinagupit din ng Bagyong Christine. Pinasalamatan naman ng DSWD Secretary ang pamahalaan ng UAE sa walang sawang pagtulong sa Pilipinas. Naku, bawal po munang mangisda ng galunggong sa loob ng 3 buwan. Ayon sa Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources o BFAR, magkakaroon ng closed fishing season ng galunggong sa Hilagang Silangan ng Palawan. Magsisimula ito bukas, November 1 hanggang January 31 taong 2025. Paliwanag ng BFAR, ang closed fishing season ay isang hakbang na nakabatay sa isang siyentipikong obserbasyon upang protektahan ang isang uri ng fish species na nasa spawning period. Ang scientific measure na ito ay makatutulong sa fish reproduction at regeneration ayon sa pag-aaral ng National Fisheries Research and Development Institute. Mas maganda rin nila ang kalidad ng mga nahuhuling galunggong at mas tumaas ang galunggong production sa Palawan pagkatapos simula ng closed fishing season program. Magpapatupad din ng BFAR ng closed fishing season sa dagat ng Visayas at Zamboanga Peninsula sa darating na November 15 hanggang February 15 ng susunod na taon. Tiniyak naman ng BFAR na may sapat na isda sa mga pamilihan dahil may darating na 30,000 metric tons ng imported na isda mula sa Vietnam at sa China. Ipinahayag ng PHIVOLCS na tumaas ang bilang ng seismic activity sa Bulkang Canlaon matapos makapagtala ito ng 64 na volcano tectonic o VT earthquakes mula hating gabi ng Huwebes. Ayon sa ahensya, may lakas na 0.9 hanggang 2.9 magnitude at nasa lalim na 2 hanggang 8 kilometro ang mga VT earthquakes. Ipinaliwanag ni PHIVOLCS Director Teresito Bacolcol na nagaganap ang VT earthquakes kapag ang magma ay umaakyat pataas ng bulkan na nagiging sanhi ng paggalaw ng mga bato sa paligid nito. Pinaalalahanan ng PHIVOLCS ang publiko na umiiral pa rin sa Canlaon ang Alert Level 2 at ang kasalukuyang seismic activity ay maaaring magdulot ng eruptive unrest na lalong magpapataas ng alert level ng bulkan. Inilabas ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas o BSP ang kanilang projection ng October inflation rate. Ayon sa BSP, maaaring pumalo ang inflation rate ng bansa sa pagitan ng 2% at 2.8%. Mas mataas ito sa 1.9% na naitala ng Philippine Statistics Authority. Iniuugnay ng Bangko Sentral ang posibleng pagtaas sa inflation rate ng bansa sa pagtaas ng presyo ng mga pagkain at produktong petrolyo. 84 na OFWs ang sinalubong ng Department of Migrant Workers o DMW sa NAIA nitong Miyerkules kasama ang isang dependent na galing Israel. Sinabi ng Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak na nagtulong-tulong ang ilang ahensya para makauwi ang mga OFWs na galing sa mga bansang apektado ng digmaan sa Middle East. Anya, agad na binigyan ng tulong at financial aid galing sa gobyerno ang mga umuwing OFWs. Ayon pa kay Kakdak, may humigit kumulang 2,000 pang OFW sa Israel at kapag lumala pa ang sitwasyon rito ay may nakahanda ng evacuation plan ang Philippine Embassy sa Tel Aviv. Susunod, isa patay, 73 sugatan pagtama ng bagyong Kongres sa Taiwan. Missile test ng North Korea naglanding sa karagatan sa pagitan ng Russia at Japan. At 88 katao patay sa Northern Gaza matapos ang panibagong airstrike ng Israel. Iba pang detalye ng mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
This portion is brought to you by 318 Automart.
Why choose Supreme Pure Organic Barley? It is 100% pure organic barley straight from Australia. Certified super brands. The first alkaline-based barley in the Philippines. High pH level, 7.9 alkaline level, 68 micronutrients, non-acidic. It helps boost immune system, improves digestion, high in antioxidants, regulates blood sugar level and cholesterol. Waglan Basta Barley. Dapat alkaline-based Supreme Pure Organic Barley.
We're going around the world in 3 days at the World Travel Expo 8 to bring you the highlights of this exciting travel event. Discover the must-see moments, special interviews, and a behind-the-scenes look at the latest trends in travel and tourism.
We are helping these small companies like mga startup na travel agencies, yung mga hotels na hindi pa kilala, we are promoting them also. Nagkakaroon sila ng sarili ng market and nalalaman din ng mga travelers na may bago pala dito.
Open for business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa NET25.
Isang tao habang 73 naman ang sugatan sa naging pagtama ng bagyong Kongres sa Taiwan. Ayon sa National Fire Agency ay nabagsakan ng puno ang sasakyan ng nasawi na mula naman sa Nantou. Mahigpit naman ang ginagawang pagbabantay ng mga otoridad sa mga lugar sa bansa na lubog sa matinding baha. Dagdag pa rito, inilikas din ang ilang mga residente na nasa Hualien dahil sa patuloy na pagtaas ng tubig. Bukod rito ay kanselado rin ang pasok ng mga tao sa trabaho, maging ang pasok ng mga estudyante sa paaralan. Samantala, nakahanda naman ang nasa 30,000 mga sundalo para tumulong sa relief operation sa mga residente na apektado ng bagyo. Sa Papua New Guinea, bilang pagkilala sa kakayahan ng mga kababaihan, nagsagawa ang kabisera ng bansa ng mga aktibidad. Kabilang rito ang National Capital District Women Expo and Summit at ang Pinktober Walk. Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula kay NET25 Eco Hortaleza Quinola sa Port Moresby. Eco.
Naglunsad ng dalawang makasaysayang okasyon ang Port Moresby National District ng Papua New Guinea. Ito ay nilahukan ng mga mamamayang sumusuporta sa mga adhikain at proyekto ng pamahalaang lokal. Ang kabisera ng bansa ang pangunahing katuwang sa nalalapit na National Capital District Women Expo and Summit na may temang Invest in Women, Drive Change.
As we gather today and as we prepare for this summit, there are only 3 women members of parliament. That's about 2%. And that's a statement that we have to seriously consider. We will challenge ourselves beyond 2025.
Binigyang diin ni United Nations Women Papua New Guinea Deputy Country Representative ang kahalagahan ng mga kababaihan sa lipunan. Ipinaalala niya na ang mga kababaihan ay nararapat na mahalin, respeto at bigyan ng karapatan sa pagkakapantay-pantay.
We hope that by the time that summit happens, that women are able to express what they want to see, the Papua New Guinea that they want to see. But at the same time, we believe that the more we talk, the more we find common ground.
Samantala, tungkol pa rin sa kapakanan ng kababaihan, ang tinatawag na Pinktober Walk ay idinaos din sa kahabaan ng Sir Hubert Murray Stadium hanggang sa Ella Beach Town. Ito ay upang ipakita ang kanilang pagtangkilik sa breast cancer awareness. Nilahukan ito ng iba't ibang sangay ng gobyerno sa layuning ipakita ang suporta ng public servants hindi lamang sa ehersisyo kundi pati na rin sa panawagan na ito ay benepisyal sa katawan.
Just step in and say that, hey, I'm here to walk, I'm here to show my support. I'd like to learn more about this, even though I know about breast cancer. I'd like to just step up and say, I'm here to advocate as well.
I feel that it's important for our people to be aware that they must do medical check, they must live a lifestyle that's proper with good food, good rest, and no alcohol, none of the bad habits. And so that's why I'm here, to pass the message on to our people of living a good life and living longer.
Health professionals, we want to educate as well as let the people know of the programs that we are putting in place to address not only breast cancer but all other cancers in the country.
Eko Hortalez sa Kinyonga, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Nagpakawala ang North Korea ng isang intercontinental ballistic missile o ICBM sa silangang bahagi nito noong Huwebes. Bumagsak ang missile sa dagat sa pagitan ng teritoryo ng Japan at Russia. Inobserbahan ni North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ang test at nagbigay ng babala sa mga kalaban ng bansa na nagbabanta sa seguridad ng North Korea. Agarang kinundena naman ng South Korea, Japan at ng Estados Unidos ang launch test na ito.
현재까지 초기 판단한 것으로는 신형 고체 추진 장거리 탄도미사일을 시험 발사했을 가능성이 있습니다. 미국 대선이 임박해 있는 시점에서 북한의 협상력을 높이기 위한 전략이라는 판단과 현 상황을 탈피하기 위한 이벤트 가능성이 있다고 보고 있습니다.
Sumang-ayon rin ang Japan sa posibilidad na ito ay isang bagong uri ng missile dahil sa ipinakita nitong 86 na minutong paglipad na pinakamatagal sa lahat ng record ng mga ICBM ng North Korea.
今回発射された弾道ミサイルは、飛翔時間が約86分でありまして、これまでで最長の飛翔時間であったこと、飛翔高度が最高高度7000キロを超えると推定され、これまでで最高の飛翔高度であったこと、などを総合的に勘案した上で、従来のものとは違うと。こういうふうにご発言があったものと承知をしております。これまでの弾道ミサイル等の度重なる発射も含め、一連の北朝鮮の行動は、我が国、地域及び国際社会の平和と安全を脅かすものであり、断じて容認できません。
Inanunsyo ng South Korea ang bagong export controls laban sa North Korea matapos ang huling long-range ballistic missile test nito. Sakop na export controls ang 15 items na mahirap makuha o magawa ng Pyongyang sa sarili nitong bansa. Kabilang rito ang fuselages at combustion tubes na inaasahang magpapalakas ng umiiral na international export controls laban sa North Korea. Layunin ng mga sanctions na limitahan ang kakayahan ng bansa sa paggawa ng solid fuel missiles upang mapigilan ang pag-usad ng ballistic missile development nito. Sinabi ni British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves na kailangang taasan ang buwis na binabayaran ng mga mayayamang dayuhan at high earners. Leslie Borbona para sa detalye.
Sinisi ni British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves ang umano'y kapalpakan na ginawa ng Conservative Party. Naniniwala ang opisyal na bumagal ang economic growth ng United Kingdom sa ilalim ng Conservative Party Aniya, bigong alagaan ng nasabing partido ang pampublikong serbisyo sa kanilang bansa. Dahil dito, nangako si Minister Reeves na muli niyang aayusin ang serbisyo ng gobyerno para sa publiko.
On July the 4th, the country voted for change. This government was given a mandate to restore stability to our economy and to begin a decade of national renewal. Together, the hole in our public finances this year, which recurs every year, the compensation schemes that they did not fund, and their failure to assess the scale of the challenges facing our public services means that this budget raises taxes by £40 billion. Any Chancellor standing here today would have to face this reality. And any responsible Chancellor would take action.
Sinabi rin ni Minister Reeves na gaya ng ipinangako ng Labour Party sa election manifesto nito ay walang dagdag buwis sa VAT, National Insurance at Income Tax. Pero pinaliwanag din niya na kailangan niyang gumawa ng mahihirap na desisyon gaya ng pagdaragdag buwis sa Employers' National Insurance, Inheritance Tax at sa capital gains.
So I say to working people, I will not increase your national insurance. I will not increase your VAT, and I will not increase your income tax. Working people will not see higher taxes in their payslips as a result of the choices that I am making today. That is a promise made and a promise fulfilled. But any responsible Chancellor would need to make difficult decisions today. We will increase the rate of employers' national insurance by 1.2 percentage points to 15% from April 2025. And we will reduce the secondary threshold, the level at which employers start paying national insurance on each employee's salary, from £9,100 a year to £5,000. This will raise £25 billion per year by the end of the forecast period.
Tiniyak din ni Minister Reeves na dahil sa karagdagang buwis na makukolekta ng gobyerno, ay tataas naman ang day-to-day health budget ng NHS. Sinangayunan naman ng ilang residente sa London ang talumpati ni Reeves. Anila, nahaharap sa matinding hamon ang Labour Party, partikular na sa pagsasaayos ng ekonomiya at mga pampublikong serbisyo roon.
From what I've seen so far, they seem to be doing a good job. I think they were brought into a very difficult situation, so their messaging has been on point. They've said there's going to be some difficult decisions, so yeah, I think they're doing okay.
I think they're in a really difficult position. They've got a big hole to dig themselves out of, and it's kind of a lose-lose, and I think the opposition are going to pounce on that.
Ito po si Leslie Bourbon para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang Iran sa paggawa ng mga armas nito para sa digmaan. Sinabi ni Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant na humina na ang missile system ng Iran at weapons supply nito. Pero binaliwala lamang ni Defense Minister Aziz Nasir-Azadeh ang patutsada ni Gallant. Anya, hindi nagtagumpay ang Israel sa pinakahuling atake nito sa Iran at kung may nasira mang defense system ang Israel noong October 26 ay agad itong napalitan ng bagong weapons system ng Iran. Umaasa si Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati na matutuloy ng ceasefire matapos maglabas ng draft agreement ang Israel para sa siyang initial 60-day truce. Ang dokumento na sinasabi nilang isang leaked proposal mula sa Washington ay naglalarawan ng pag-atras ng mga sundalo ng Israel sa Lebanon sa unang linggo pa lang ng sinasabing 60-day ceasefire. Naniwala naman si Mikati na hindi magiging posible ang pagsulong ng naturang panukala hanggat sa matapos ang eleksyon sa Estados Unidos, ngunit siniguro naman ni U.S. Envoy for the Middle East Amos Hochstein na posible itong makamit bago pa ang halalan. Git naman ni White House National Security Spokesperson Sean Savet, lahat ng umiikot na balita tungkol sa mga proposal na inihain ng Estados Unidos ay hindi direktang naglalarawan sa kasalukuyang estado ng negosasyon. Ayon sa Israeli network, nakita na ito ng kanilang mga opisyal ngunit hindi pa sila nagbibigay ng komento ukol sa naturang issue.
الحقيقة قبل ما حبيت أطلع معك اتصلت مع السيد آموس هوكستين الوسيط الأمريكي وأبلغني أنه هو في الطائرة بطريقه وهلأ هو بالطيارة بمطار واشنطن رايح جاي على تل أبيب بكرة ويعني بإذن الله يكون في ما بقى حقيقة بقول لك إنه نصدق ما بقى نصدق بس عم نسعى كل جهدنا وعلينا دائما أن نبقى أن نسعى ونبقى دائما متحلين بالتفاؤل إنه خلال الساعات أو الأيام القادمة يصير في عنا وقف إطلاق نار. يعني بس بحب أقول إنه أكيد هو أنا باتصالاتي معه كان من نهار الأساس ومثل ما نشر بالإعلام إنه من نهار الأحد كان المفروض يجي على تل أبيب ولكن تعسرت بعض المفاوضات هاليومين الأخيرين ولكن اليوم تيسرت وإجا مجرد تحركه هي إشارة أمل نأمل أن تترجم حقيقة إلى وقف إطلاق النار ونشوفه قبل نهاية الأسبوع ببيروت. أنا بدي السؤال بس سألته قلت له فينا نعطي تفاؤل قال لي حتما نحن اليوم أحسن من امبارح يعني حرفيا عم بنقول وعش حبيت قال لي نحن اليوم بوضع أفضل من الأمس فبالتالي أتمنى أن نكون بكرة كمان إن شاء الله أحسن من اليوم لحتى نقدر نوصل لهالوقف العدوان الغاشم على بلدنا.
باتصال بكلامك هلا معه عطى شيء موعد؟
تأخر حزب الله بفصل الجبهة اللبنانية عن جبهة غزة بس ما حقول أكثر يعني اليوم فصلها بس تأخر بالفصل ويضاف عليها أمريكا وفرنسا.
Sinintensyahan ng 40 taon sa Ugandan prison ang isang mid-level commander ng kilalang rebelding grupo ng Lord's Resistance Army Rebel Group. Si Thomas Coelho ay napatunayan nagkasala ng war crimes kabilang na ang murder, rape, enslavement, torture at kidnapping. Narito ang karagdagang detalye mula kay Leslie Gumarang.
Si Thomas Coelho na commander ng Lord's Resistance Army o LRA Rebel Group ay nahatulan ng 12 ng war crimes noong Agosto. Ito ang kauna-unahang pagkakataon na nilitis sa hukuman ng Uganda ang isang opisyal na sintaas ng pwesto niya.
For all these counts and offenses that he has now been found guilty, that he has now been sentenced on, it is deemed that the sentence of 40 years, which was meted out to him on the charges of murder, properly reflects the overall criminality of Thomas Coelho.
Ang LRA ay tinatag noong huling bahagi ng taong 1980s. Layon ng grupo na patalsikin ng gobyerno. Kinatakutan ng Ugandans ang grupo sa loob ng 20 taon sa ilalim ng pamumuno ni Joseph Kony. Kinalaban nito ang militar na nakabase sa Hilagang Uganda. Nagsagawa ng karumal-dumal na mga pagsalangasan ng grupo kabilang ang panggagahasa, pandurukot, pamumuto ng bahagi ng katawan ng mga biktima, pagpatay sa mga tao gamit ang hindi makataong armas. Ayon sa hukom na si Duncan Gasagwa, naiwasan ni Coelho ang sentensyang pagkamatay dahil bata pa siya nang mapabilang sa LRA. Hindi rin siya isa sa pinakamatataas na commanders ng grupo. Nagpahayag niya si Coelho ng pagsisisi at handang humingi ng tawad sa kanyang mga biktima. Napatunayang may sala si Coelho sa 44 na akusasyon, idinismiss ang 31 at napawalang sala siya sa 3. Para sa isang survivor ng LRA na si Alex Ogena, masaya siya sa sentensya subalit ikinababahala ang planong pag-apila ng kampo ni Coelho.
We were happy about the conviction. Now that the appeal is being made again, this one triggers our temperature again. We shall not be happy to hear the court going again on. We thought he would accept, then after serving the sentence, he would go back home, and then we perform the traditional rituals in terms of reconciliation.
Para naman kay Joyce Adong na nakaligtas rin sa pagbibiktima ng LRA, mali at hindi sapat ang tinanggap na hatol ni Coelho.
Coelho madong timi dong yo pian tiek mi le kan we ni payer tes mineurs we nim le ban payer tes mineurs dak tiek mi le ne be payer tes mineurs en to ma ko tin ma pol mi tier ka po gi sio mi nyal ko gi matin gi dong ne ma en be ka temene eni ano chalo gen ma en tiga temene tema nyu apiana no tika meleng dak en tigilu pili ne tema gichuinge ano pero hape
Leslie Gumarang para sa mata ng Agila International, Trusted, Connected, On Point.
Noong Martes, inanunsyo ng US State Department ang pagkondena nito sa pag-atake ng Sudan-based Rapid Support Forces o RSF sa mga sibilyan. Nanawagan ito ng agarang pagtigil ng karahasan. Nagbabala si State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller na patuloy na nagpapataw ng parusa ang Estados Unidos sa mga nagpapalala ng karahasan sa Sudan. Dinetalye ni Miller ang ginawaan niyang karumal-dumal na pag-atake ng RSF sa mga sibilyan. Anya, karamihan sa mga ito ay kababaihan at mga kabataan. Ani pa Miller, dapat tigilan na ang karahasang ito sa lalong madaling panahon.
Over the last week, the Sudanese Rapid Support Forces has carried out a major and brutal attack across eastern part of the Al Jazeera state in Sudan, located just to the south of Khartoum. They attacked multiple villages in the area, deliberately targeting civilians. Many of the RSF's victims have been children and women. The United States condemns these attacks in the strongest terms and calls on the RSF to halt violence against civilians immediately.
Dagdag ni Miller, pinalalala ng mga ganitong pag-atake ang pagkagutom at ang krisis ng paglikas kung saan milyon-milyong mga Sudanese ang nahulog sa pangangailangan ng agarang humanitarian relief.
These heinous attacks are sadly only the latest in a war that has gone on for far too long. Attacks like these exacerbate the severe hunger and displacement crisis that has put more than 25 million Sudanese in need of emergency humanitarian relief and forced more than 14 million people to flee their homes since the conflict began.
Binigyang diin pa ni Miller na hindi matatawaran ang suporta ng US sa Sudan.
Our support for the Sudanese people is steadfast as they demand a sustainable end to the conflict and work to develop a process to resume the stalled political transition to inclusive, civilian-led democratic governance.
Sumabog ang giyera sa Sudan noong April 2023 dahil sa agawan ng kapangyarihan sa pagitan ng Sudanese Army at ng paramilitary RSF. Ito ay bago ang transisyon sa pamumunong sibilyan. Minitsahan nito ang pinakamalaking displacement crisis sa buong mundo. Sa estado ng Georgia, USA, daan-daang libo rin ang nagtungo sa voting polls ng maaga upang bumoto o ihulog ang kanilang mga balota para sa presidential election. Ayon sa mga opisyal na eleksyon, sa unang linggo pa lamang ng early voting ngayon, binasag na ng bilang ng mga botante ang record noong 2020. Narito ang report ni Philip Toledo.
The general election is still a few days away, but here in Georgia, early voters are smashing records. According to the Elections Division of the Georgia Secretary of State, as of Monday, 2.9 million ballots have been cast since early voting began on October 15. That is 40% of just over 7 million active voters, breaking the previous record set in 2020, when then President Trump narrowly lost the state to Joe Biden. By race or ethnicity, whites make up the majority of active voters across the state. Slightly more females are active voters than males, and the 18 to 24-year-old demographic towers over other age groups in the makeup of active voters in the state. With 16 electors up for grabs, Georgia residents have seen multiple visits by both Harris and Trump in just the past few weeks alone, trying to capture those critical votes. And many are taking the right to vote seriously with early voting.
I think this is an existential election. It's going to have implications for my children and my 3 grandsons and more to come. So it's critically important that everyone at least voices their vote.
Well, I just started law school actually down in Florida, so I really just wanted to get it out while I was home and get it done. Because being so young, and especially with the recent economic crisis we've had, I really just want to make sure my vote counts.
A frequent target of former President Trump's claims regarding election fraud in 2020, Georgia boasts some of the strictest voting regulations in the country. ID is required for all in-person and absentee ballots. Those without a state-issued ID are given instructions from the Election Division website of what they can do in order to be able to vote. This record-breaking early voting turnout could be a result of the numerous get-out-the-vote campaigns run by both parties as well as nonpartisan efforts. As we near Election Tuesday, all eyes will remain on the state of Georgia. Philip Toledo for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Sa Michigan, dinurog ng libu-libong botante ang ekspektasyon ng Estado sa bagong opsyon na in-person early voting. Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula kay Rosel Feria.
Sa estado ng Michigan, ang maagang pagboto ay isang bagong opsyon. Noong 2022, naaprubahan ang isang pagbabago sa konstitusyon na nagbibigay sa mga residente ng Michigan ng karapatang bumoto ng personal sa mga lugar ng maagang pagboto. Para sa halalan na ito, mahigit 250,000 na botante ang sinamantala ang bagong opsyon. Ang kauna-unahang statewide weekend ng maagang pagboto ay minarkahan ng mataas na turnout nitong nakaraang linggo. Noong Lunes, mahigit 1.5 milyong botante sa Michigan ang nagbalik ng kanilang mga balotang lumiban. Nangangahulugan ito na halos isang kapat ng mga aktibong rehistradong botante ng estado na 24% ay nakaboto na para sa halalan sa Nobyembre. Sa kasalukuyan, ang Michigan ay itinuturing ng isang estado ng larangan ng digmaan, bahagyang nakasandalang asul, kung saan hawak ng mga demokratiko ang lahat ng mga opisina sa buong estado mula noong 2019. Para sa mga taong ito, inaasahang magiging mahalaga ito na ibinabahagi sa Pennsylvania at Wisconsin ang pinakamahabang aktibong sunod-sunod na pagboto para sa nanalong kandidato sa pagkapangulo. Rosel Feria para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Samantala, sa kabisera naman ng Estados Unidos, sinamantala ng mga residente ang oportunidad na bumoto ng maaga. Para sa isang botante, ang maagang pagboto ay paraan niya upang makaiwas sa posibilidad ng kaguluhan sa 5 ng Nobyembre. Narito ang mga detalye mula kay Arlene Ocampo.
Here in the nation's capital, early voting polls officially opened on October 28th. Over 11,700 people cast their ballots on the first day. And more than 35,000 have already turned in their mail-in ballots.
For D.C. voter Travis Benson, opting to vote early is his way of avoiding potential disturbances that may arise on Election Day.
I don't like being in crowds, and then I don't know if it's going to get ugly or not. I'm not trying to be part of that. So the earlier the better, you know, and then it's less confusion at the end. If everybody votes ahead, you know, so when it's time to count everything or start, it won't be such a mess.
Benson says the candidate he voted for is someone who he thinks will bring the people together.
It's terrible that we so used to negative talk and talking down on people and insulting people. But no, I just like the fact that she's talking about everybody coming together, because that's what it should be. It shouldn't be, I don't know, they made this thing political, they made this word Republican and Democrat a living thing. No, it's just a belief. It's not living. You know, everybody should just be able to vote, and you know, your views is your views. So I like the fact that they just, you know, trying to bring everybody, trying to bring joy and bring hope back. That's my main thing.
Benson says he hopes the next administration will follow through on their promises.
To do what she said, or the administration itself, because one person can't do it. Far as looking at the people, far as, like you say, low income, middle, jobs, opportunities. They always say they making programs to set it up, but it goes further than that, because even though you make the program, who's implementing it? You know, it's like the last situation with the pandemic. They did the little stimulus package for small businesses, but did you make sure the small businesses get it? Not the other businesses that say it's small, but the banks gave it to them and really didn't give it to the small. I hope they just, you know, really talk about, you know, helping the people like they say they are. That's the main thing.
The district is a heavily Democratic city. Although the election is still tight, many express support of having potentially the first woman to be president of the United States. Arlene Ocampo, Washington, D.C. for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Susunod, 75 katao patay sa matinding pagbaha sa Spain. LA Dodgers muling nakuha ang World Series sa baseball. At Taylor Swift nagbigay ng donasyon sa Louisiana Food Bank. Iba pang detalye ng mga balita sa pagbabalik pa rin ng Mata ng Agila International.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Ilalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
This portion is brought to you by North Luzon Express Terminal.
Muling nagbabalik ang Mata ng Agila International. Umakyat na sa 75 katao ngayon ang nasawi sa matinding pagbaha sa Spain na dulot ng bagyong Dana. Ayon sa mga otoridad ay ilang mga residente ang natagpuan na nasa itaas ng kanilang bahay at sasakyan dahil sa pagbaha. Dagdag pa rito ang mga tulay na bumigay at nasira dahil sa walang tigil na pag-ulan at pagtaas ng tubig. Kasunod dito ay nagpapadala naman sila ng military unit para sa rescue operations sa mga residente na na-stranded. Bukod dito ay aabot din sa higit sa 150,000 mga walang kuryente sa kanilang mga tahanan. Babala naman ng emergency services sa mga residente, umiwas munang bumiyahe sa mga kalsada na nabagsakan ng mga puno. Samantala nangako si Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez na nakahanda ang gobyerno na magbigay ng suporta sa mga taong naapektuhan ng kalamidad. Patay naman ngayon ang isang tao habang higit sa 9 naman ang nawawala sa Argentina. Ito ay matapos gumuho ng isang hotel. Ayon sa mga otoridad ay nasa 10 palapag ang Dubrovnik Hotel na gumuho sa Argentina. Kinilala ang lalaking nasawi na nasa 80 taong gulang na naninirahan sa gusali na nasa tabi ng hotel. Agad namang pumunta sa lugar ang mga bumbero, paramedics at pulis para tulungan ang mga taong naipit sa mga bumagsak na bahagi ng hotel. Kabilang sa mga nawawala ay ilang mga tauhan na nagtatrabaho sa construction site ng hotel. Samantala, taong 1986 nang buksan sa publikong hotel at kasalukuyan ngayong nasa proseso ng restoration bago ito gumuho. Nasawi ngayon ang 13 taong gulang na batang babae sa New York. Ito ay matapos niyang mag-subway surf. Mapapanood sa viral video ang ilang mga kabataan na nagsasubway surf sa platform ng Corona, Queens. Dagdag pa rito ang isa pang batang lalaki na nakasuot ng backpack na nakita namang nakaupo sa itaas ng subway. Kasunod dito ay ang pagkamatay ng batang babae habang ang isa niyang kasama ay nasa critical na kondisyon. Batay sa datos ng mga opisyal ay ika-6 na sa listahan ng batang babae na nasawi mula sa insidente ng subway surfing ngayong taon. Samantala, ikinababahala naman ngayon ng mga commuters ang mga mapanganib na stunts ng mga kabataan sa subway. Sugatan ng 4 na pasahero matapos madiskaril ang isang tram sa Oslo, Norway. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, sakay ng tram ang 20 katao nang naganap ang insidente. Bumangga naman ang tram sa isang gadget store. Agad na sumaklolo ang mga tao sa paligid nang narinig nila ang pagsalpok ng tram sa gusali. Inilikas na rin ang mga tao sa loob ng gadget store. Inaasikaso na ng mga eksperto ang pagpapanatiling matibay ng haligi ng gusali para hindi ito gumuho. Sa investigasyon ng pulisya, pinaniniwala ang overspeeding ang naging sanhi ng pagkadiskaril ng tram. Sinagip ng isang lalaki sa Ufa, Russia ang asong naipit ang kanyang tali mula sa elevator ng kanyang apartment building. Kita sa video ang ilang sandali bago naganap ang insidente. Pumasok ang amo ng aso kasama ang 2 aso nito sa elevator. Subalit nang isasara na ng amo ang pintuan ng elevator ay hindi nito napansin na lumabas pala ang itim na aso nito. Makikita ang unti-unting hinihila ng elevator ang tali ng aso. Buti na lang ay napansin ito ng kanyang kapitbahay na dumaan sa lugar. Dito na niya hinila ang tali ng aso at saka pinakawalan ito. Bumaba agad ang amo ng aso para alamin ang lagay ng kanyang alaga. Sa huli naman ay masayang-masaya ang itim na aso dahil muli pa niyang nakita ang kanyang amo. Pumirma ngayon ang panibagong kasunduan ng Universal Filmed Entertainment Group sa Netflix bilang bahagi ng animated titles at live action. Kabilang sa napagkasunduan ng 2 kumpanya ay ang Illumination at DreamWorks animation titles ng mga palabas na Super Mario Brothers movie at Minions. Magkakaroon naman ng lisensya ang Netflix sa 2027 na maipalabas ang mga live-action films ng Universal. Mapapanood rito ng mga users ang mga pelikula sa loob ng 10 buwan matapos ang kanilang premium video subscription. Dagdag pa rito ang kasunduan ng Netflix ay magtatagal naman ng 5 taon kung saan ang Universal titles ay lalabas lamang sa tab na premium video on demand. Samantala, ilan sa mga hit movies ng Universal ay ang Boss Baby, Super Mario Brothers, Sing, Despicable Me 1, 2, and 3 at Minions: The Rise of Gru. Pinagmulta ng Russia ang Google ng humigit kumulang $2.5 decillion. Habang sa ibang balita naman ay inilabas na ng China ang tinatawag nitong autonomous flying car. Si JD Mahinay para sa detalye ng 2 balita.
Kinondena ng Russia ang ginawang banning ng Google sa mga YouTube accounts ng Russian state-run media outlets dahil sa todo suporta nila sa full-scale invasion ng Ukraine. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, noong 2020 pa ay pinagbabayad na ng multa ng Russia ang Google. Matapos matalo nito sa isang lawsuit dahil sa pag-block ng YouTube channels ng 17 media outlets. Sa utos ng Russian court, araw-araw ay dapat magbayad ng Google ng humigit kumulang 100,000 rubles. Pero dahil sa hindi pagbayad nito, ay kada linggo ay dumodoble ang halaga ng multa ng Google na naging dahilan kaya umabot ito sa $2.5 decillion o 2 decillion rubles. Ang decillion ay ang numerical figure na may 33 zeros, habang ang undecillion naman ay may 36. Kung lubos iisipin, ay imposibleng mabayaran ito ng Google. Ayon kasi sa International Monetary Fund, ang estimated gross domestic product ng buong mundo ay nasa $110 trillion. At take note, ang trillion ay may 12 zero lang. Samantala, itinampok naman ng China ang kakaiba nitong autonomous flying car sa publiko. Ayon sa Chery, ang kumpanyang nasa likod ng flying car, ang sasakyang panghimpapawid ay kayang bumiyahe ng halos 50 milya. Higit pa rito ay self-driving ito. Ibig sabihin ay hindi na kailangan na magmaneho ang mga sumasakay nito. Kaya ring lumipad ng flying car sa altitude na hindi tataas sa 1,000 meters at sa maximum flight speed na 120 kilometers per hour. Sa kasalukuyan ay nasa development pa ang naturang sasakyan at posible pang ma-adjust ito para sa mass manufacturing ng flying car. JD Mahinay para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
World Series champions na ulit ang Los Angeles Dodgers matapos ang madramang 5-game series laban sa New York Yankees. Narito si Vin Pasqua para sa play-by-play.
日本語で言いますけど最後まで一番長いシーズンを戦えたことを光栄に思いますし、このチームに来て1年目で、こういう結果に、立ち会えてすごく光栄だなと思います。シーズンもシーズンで苦しい中でも、首位でやっぱり勝ち抜いて、チームの強さがあったと思いますし、ポストシーズンも素晴らしいチーム相手にしながら自分たちの野球ができたということに誇りを、持ってますし、今日こういうふうに最後まで、勝ち切れたっていうのが本当に、このチーム誇りに思ってます。
World Series champions na sina Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman at Mookie Betts. Laglag naman sina Aaron Judge, Anthony Volpe, Jarrett Cole at Juan Soto. Sinamantala ng Los Angeles Dodgers ang tatlong pagkakamali ng New York Yankees para burahin ang 5-run fifth inning deficit hanggang kumpletuhin ng 7-6 win sa Game 5 ng Fall Classic. Sinamantala ng Dodgers ang sacrifice files ni Gavis Lux at Betts sa 8th inning upang tuluyang makuha ang kampyonato. Inumpisahan ng Yankees ang laro sa back-to-back home runs ni Judge at Jazz Chisholm Jr. sa first. Umiskor naman ng run sa RBI single si Verdugo sa second at homer ni Giancarlo Stanton sa third para makuha ang early 5-0 lead. Nag-error si Judge sa center na sinundan ni Volpe sa shortstop. Hindi pa na-cover ni pitcher Cole ang first base sa grounder ni Betts, kaya nagtala ng 5 runs sa 5th inning ang LA para maging tabla ang laban. Bumato ng perfect 9th si closer Walker Buehler para ilista ang una niyang Major League Baseball save. Nang ma-strike out ni Buehler si Verdugo para isara ang series, naglusuban sa field ang Dodgers para i-celebrate ang 8th championship sa pagitan ng mound at first base. Doble ang selebrasyon sa Japan dahil bukod kay Ohtani, kampiyon din si pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Dumating sa Dodgers si Ohtani sa isang 10-year, $700 million contract, habang si Yamamoto naman ay may 12-year, $325 million deal. Para sa Balitang Sports, Vin Pasqua para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Sharing is caring. Yan ay matapos magbigay ng donasyon ng singer-songwriter na si Taylor Swift sa Second Harvest Food Bank sa Louisiana. Ayon sa Second Harvest Food Bank ay nakatulong ang donasyon ni SWIFT para makabili ng 75,000 pagkain. Kasunod nito ay ang pamamahagi nila ng 32 milyong pagkain sa higit sa 210,000 mga tao sa Louisiana. Layunin ng organisasyon na magbigay ng pagkain, advokasya at edukasyon sa higit sa 70,000 na community partners at programs. Kabilang sa mga community partner nila ay ang New Orleans, Marrero, Westwego at Beyond. Samantala, matatandaan na nagbigay ang popstar ng $5 milyong bilang tulong sa mga tao na naapektuhan ng bagyong Helene at Milton. Naglunsad ang mga environmentalists sa Libya ng kampanya ukol sa tree planting para labanan ang tumitinding tagtuyot. Isinagawa ng grupo ang pagtatanim sa Al-Nigaza Forest na may 100 kilometro ang layo mula sa Tripoli. Ito na ngayon ang ikalimang hakbang nila para maibalik ang dating sigla at kulay ng mga kabugubatan sa Libya na labis na naapektuhan ng climate change. Kasunod dito ng pagkatuyo at mga unang mga lupain at pagkamatay ng mga puno sa Al-Nigaza dahilan para isulong ng mga ito ang pagtatanim. Kabilang sa mga nakilahok sa kampanya ay ang ilang mga pamilya, estudyante at mga eco-volunteers. Samantala, bago ito ay nagdala na ng mga binhi ng itatanim ang bawat isa at umaasa na sa susunod na buwan at taon ay manunumbalik ang kagubatan. Agaw pansin ngayon ang higanting interactive Tetris game na inilabas bilang bahagi ng pagdiriwang sa ika-40 anibersaryo. Ayon sa mga organizers, ay ito na ang pinakamalaking Tetris game para sa multiplayer na matatagpuan sa sentro ng London. Dagdag pa nila ay bukas ang paglalaro para sa publiko at ito rin ay libre para sa mga nagnanais na sumali. Kinakailangan lamang na i-scan ang QR code ng mga kalahok para ma-download ito at maging bahagi ng labanan. Matatandaan na unang inilabas ang laro noong 1984 ng Russian software engineer na si Alexei Pajitnov. Narito po kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako sa mundo. Ako po si Nina Richie Alagaw Flores na bumabati po sa Executive Minister ng Iglesia ni Cristo at yan po ay walang iba kundi si kapatid na Eduardo V. Manalo. Maligayang kaarawan po, pagpalain po kayo at ang inyong mabubuting gawa. Muli ito po ang Mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga balitang nangyari sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta naman tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa Mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thanks, Nina. This is Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. And now for the headlines. North Korea has just raised the stakes in global tensions, testing what it claims is its most powerful missile yet. Southern Spain is reeling after deadly flash floods struck the region, inundating roads, damaging buildings, and leaving dozens dead.
Traffic was disrupted and buildings were damaged as heavy rains flooded roads across southern Spain on Tuesday. Torrential downpours swept through Andalusia and Valencia, leading to widespread flooding and hailstorms that shattered glass and broke large branches.
With just 6 days to go until the U.S. election, one word is dominating the headlines: garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
And I have to begin by saying 250 million Americans are not garbage.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
And the news starts now. North Korea has just raised the stakes in global tensions, testing what it claims is its most powerful missile yet. Kim Jong-un personally oversaw the launch, calling it a warning to those who he says threaten North Korean security. Japanese officials say this test broke records. Kim Jong-un personally oversaw the launch, calling it a warning to those who he says threaten North Korean security. Japanese officials say this test broke records. Here's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi.
今回発射された弾道ミサイルは、飛翔時間が約86分でありまして、これまでで最長の飛翔時間であったこと、飛翔高度が最高高度7000キロを超えると推定され、これまでで最高の飛翔高度であったこと、などを、総合的に勘案した上で、従来のものとは違うというふうにご発言があったものと承知をしております。
The timing here is crucial. Just hours before the launch, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met with his South Korean counterpart in Washington, specifically to discuss North Korea's growing military presence in Russia.
The evidence now suggests that North Korea has sent around 10,000 soldiers to train in eastern Russia. And some of these DPRK troops have already moved closer to Ukraine, and we're seeing them outfitted with Russian uniforms and provided with Russian equipment. And I am increasingly concerned that the Kremlin plans to use these North Korean soldiers to support Russia's combat operations in Russia's Kursk region near the border with Ukraine. Putin will not prevail in Ukraine, even with more help from North Korea.
South Korean military officials see this as a part of a larger strategy.
예를 들어서 전술 핵무기 고도화라든지 ICBM 미사일 고도화 기술, 그 다음에 또 정찰 위성에 대한 기술, 원자력 잠수함 만드는 기술, 이런 어떤 첨단 과학 기술을, 군사 기술을 요구할 가능성이 높습니다. 대선 개입보다는 대선을 전후해서 자신들의 존재감을 과시하기 위한 도발 가능성은 충분히 열려 있다. 저는 그렇게 생각합니다.
The implications could be far-reaching. Defense analyst Du Jin-ho explains.
북한군이 손을 들고 파병을 함으로써 이제는 거꾸로 한반도 유사시에 러시아가 군사적으로 개입을 할 수 있기 때문에 그 부분이 저희들한테는 위협이고요. 러시아라고 하는 나라는 한러 간에 특수한 관계가 있었고 또 우방국으로서 나름대로 교류 협력을 통해서 양국 관계를 발전을 시켜왔었는데 이제는 러시아가 주변국으로서의 위협이 아니고 실질적인 위협의 대상으로서 우리에게 다가오고 있기 때문에 위협인 것입니다.
Despite international outcry, Russia's UN ambassador defended the partnership.
В вопросах сотрудничества с Пхеньяном наша позиция абсолютно честна и открыта. КНДР – наш добрый сосед и близкий партнер, с которым мы развиваем отношения во многих областях. Наше взаимодействие носит транспарентный характер. В его рамках проводятся визиты, заключаются международные договоры, подписываются коммерческие контракты в различных областях двустороннего взаимодействия. Это наше суверенное право. Хотел бы подчеркнуть, что российское взаимодействие с КНДР в военной и в других сферах соответствует международному праву и не нарушает его. Оно не направлено против третьих стран, не представляет никакой угрозы для государств региона или международного сообщества. Мы намерены развивать это сотрудничество и впредь, и никто не может нам это запретить.
But experts warn this military cooperation could fundamentally shift the balance of power in Asia.
북한군이 파병을 통해서 특별 군사작전에 참전을 하게 되면 현대전에 필요한 다양한 전투 기술, 무기 체계를 습득을 하고 그런 걸 바탕으로 해서 새로운 군사 전략, 군사 교리를 만들어 가겠죠.
With both the missile test and troop deployment, North Korea appears to be signaling it's ready to challenge the international order on multiple fronts. Meanwhile, the U.S. and South Korean Air Forces staged joint aerial drills today in response to North Korea's missile launch. North Korea said it tested an intercontinental ballistic missile today, upgrading what it called the world's most powerful strategic weapon. In video footage released by South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, South Korean and U.S. F-16 and KF-16 fighter jets were seen flying in formation. The launch early on Thursday was the longest ballistic missile test by the North, with a flight time of 86 minutes, according to South Korea. A powerful typhoon Kongray made landfall on Taiwan's east coast today, marking the largest storm to hit the island in almost 30 years. The storm prompted financial markets to close, resulted in hundreds of flight cancellations, and disrupted rail services. The government reported that nearly 500,000 households lost power, and the Taiwan Central Weather Administration reported that the storm struck the mountainous and sparsely populated county of Taichung, with strong winds and torrential rain affecting all parts of the island. Tragically, the fire department reported one fatality when a truck struck a fallen tree in central Taiwan. And take a look at this video. Airplanes struggled to take off and land at Taiwan International Airport as they battled the strong winds brought by Typhoon Kongray. Also, these surveillance cameras across Taiwan captured the moments of intense winds and heavy rain as the storm made landfall today. Southern Spain is reeling after deadly flash floods struck the region, inundating roads, damaging buildings, and leaving dozens dead. Torrential rains and hail swept through Andalusia and Valencia, with local authorities and experts warning that these extreme events may become more frequent as climate change intensifies. Beverly Madrid reports from Spain.
Traffic was disrupted and buildings were damaged as heavy rains flooded roads across southern Spain on Tuesday. Torrential downpours swept through Andalusia and Valencia, leading to widespread flooding and hailstorms that shattered glass and broke large branches.
I work in the BP gas station in Massanassa near Valencia, and it's a river that came through. The doors were torn away and I spent the night there, surrounded by water that was 6.5 feet deep. I stayed on top of a shelf, the only one left as the whole gas station had disappeared. I stayed all night. I had started my shift at 1:30 a.m. and I spent the night trapped there. People in the cars around had climbed on the roofs of their cars. I don't know what else to say. Listen, I'm smiling so I don't cry. It was a living hell. It was a living hell.
In the Valencia region alone, firefighters responded to at least 150 incidents. Local media reported that a truck driver is missing, and rescue teams with tender boats have been working tirelessly to reach those in need. Spain's meteorological agency issued a red alert for extreme rain in Valencia, and Andalusia remains on high alert. With at least 62 people killed, Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has assured the public that the government will use all necessary resources to support those affected by these deadly flash floods.
España entera llora con todos y con todas vosotros. Nuestra prioridad absoluta es ayudaros. Las administraciones públicas estamos trabajando de forma coordinada para hacer lo posible y vamos a poner todos los medios necesarios hoy, mañana y el tiempo que haga falta para que podamos recuperarnos de esta tragedia. No os vamos a dejar solos.
Local authorities had confirmed that this is the deadliest flood Spain has experienced in 3 decades. Professor Hannah Cloak also addressed the need for better public awareness in extreme weather events, linking these flash floods to the growing impact of climate change.
Of course, we remember the devastating floods in Germany in 2021, where so very many people died. And there are some great similarities to what's happened here in Spain. People were not prepared. People were not ready for this amount of water running through the streets, running through their homes, sweeping people away. Really, we need to do much better. We need to make sure that we have plans in place. We have warnings that reach people so they can take the right action to keep themselves safe.
In the region of Valencia, scenes from the town of Utiel reveal submerged roads with rescue teams working through the night to bring aid to the hardest hit areas. Emergency services have urged residents to avoid all road travel and follow official recommendations as the military joins local rescue efforts to bring relief. The country now faces the difficult task of recovery as Spain grapples with one of the most devastating floods in recent history, and experts warn that climate change may bring more of these extreme events in the years to come.
We're going to see more of these flash floods in the future. This has the fingerprints of climate change on it, these terribly heavy rainfalls and these devastating floods. We must help people understand the danger they're in. We must help people understand, imagine these volumes of water running through their streets and into their homes. Just telling people that it's going to rain quite a lot is not good enough. People don't understand what to do. They don't have the information they need to keep themselves and their families safe. This is, absolutely unprecedented in places. We expect it to rain at this time of year. We often get these types of storms. We've got warm water being picked up across the Mediterranean, and these storms form very quickly. And we also had some very good forecasts out telling us that there was going to be heavy rain. So there was this information beforehand, but it arrived quite late. People didn't get the warnings in time. They didn't understand those warnings. We could see that people were putting themselves at risk, driving in floodwaters, and there was just so much water that it has overwhelmed these places.
From Spain, this is Beverly Madrid for NET25 World News.
With just 6 days to go until the U.S. election, one word is dominating the headlines: garbage. It all started with a comment from a comedian who referred to Puerto Rico as an island of garbage. Now this sparked outrage, especially since Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory and its residents are U.S. citizens. The Trump campaign quickly distanced itself from the remark, but by Monday, the situation had already escalated. Here's more. The firestorm ignited when a comedian called Puerto Rico an island of garbage.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
And the comment hit particularly hard given Puerto Rico's status as a U.S. territory.
We helped build this country too, like many other people in this country, from black people and everybody else that really participated, and then to be smacked in the face like that with type of comment, and we're the most loving and peaceful people on this planet.
Nobody loves our Latino community and our Puerto Rican community more than I do. Nobody. It's interesting because I've done more for Puerto Rico than any president by far. Nobody close. I provided historic funding, and the hospital ship, when they were hit with a couple of really bad ones right in the road. We got the ship over there.
But it was President Biden's response during a Voto Latino call that poured fuel on the fire.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done, everything we've been.
The Biden team quickly tried to clarify he meant only the comedian,
Just to clarify, he was not calling Trump supporters garbage, which is why he this is why he wanted to make sure that we put out a statement that clarified what he meant and what he was trying to say. And so just want to make that very clear for folks who are watching. And
President Biden put this comment last night about garbage.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for. You heard my speech last night and continuously throughout my career. I believe that the work that I do is about representing all the people, whether they support me or not.
But Republicans seized the moment.
But I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage. Are garbage. He's talking about the Border Patrol. He's talking about nurses. He's talking about teachers. He's talking about everyday Americans who love their country and want to dream big again and support you, Mr. President. And I hope their campaign is about to apologize for what Joe Biden just said. We are not garbage. We are patriots who love America. And thank you for running, Mr. President.
Trump wasted no time amplifying the controversy.
And I have to begin by saying 250 million Americans are not garbage. This week, Kamala has been comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass murderers in history. And now, speaking on a call for her campaign last night, crooked Joe Biden finally said what he and Kamala really think of our supporters. He called them garbage. No way. No way. And they actually mean it, even though without question, my supporters are far higher quality than Crooked Joe or Lion Kamala. Higher quality. Kamala and Joe call all of us, and them, even them, garbage. I call you the heart and soul of America. You are the heart and soul. You built our country. You know, you built our country. You built it. Far more than they built it, I can tell you that. You built it.
Vice President Harris attempted to redirect attention to Trump's record.
We have an opportunity in this election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is, but Madison, that is not who we are. And here's the thing, we know who Donald Trump is. This is not someone who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. And in less than 90 days, it's either going to be him or me in the Oval Office.
Yet Biden's comment overshadowed her call for unity. Democrats risk losing ground with Puerto Rico voters, an advantage they aim to solidify. Reports suggest Biden wanted to campaign for Harris in these final days, but her team viewed him as a political liability and delayed his plans. Now both candidates find themselves in a statistical dead heat. Kamala Harris stands at 48% with Donald Trump close behind at 47% in critical swing states. Trump leads in 5, while Harris is ahead in 1, with the 7th too close to call. With less than a week until Election Day, what began as an offensive comment about Puerto Rico has morphed into a potential game changer for Democrats hoping to secure the Puerto Rican vote. Biden's garbage comment couldn't have come at a worse time. Let's head to Maryland, USA, where voters share with NET25 how they feel toward the nearing presidential election. Here's our correspondent, Rosel Feria in Baltimore. Rosel.
Early voting started in Maryland 12 days before the November 5 presidential election, with officials saying that in-person voter numbers reached 150,000 just on day one. Our team reached out to several Maryland voters and asked what issues matter to them most when it comes to choosing leaders of the nation. Healthcare worker Annika says she expects that things change for the better.
Hopefully, we get better health care, housing goes down, the inflation goes down, and I just hope that.
For Diane Schmidt, addressing the cost of living and easing the burdens that come with it is a deal breaker.
Just the cost of living. We really need to get everything under control. And that's my hope, that that's what happens. My fear is that it's going to get even worse and things are going to cost us even more money and we're going to be struggling even more to make ends meet.
Meanwhile, for Monique George, guarding human rights and promoting education should be taken seriously.
Hope that our rights as human beings does not take another hit, especially people of color or people who don't look like certain races of people.
Kiyoshi Jenkins says she knows that the new administration has a lot of work to do, but she hopes important things are put in order.
I know they have a lot of work to do, a lot of things to clean up, like as far as the war, the economy, violence. It's a lot of things, and I hope that they make steps to improve it. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but
Dawn Stefanik says she fears for the next generation and she wants a big change and go back to 4 years ago when she says life was a lot better.
However, I am fearful for our children. They can't afford homes, they can't afford cars, they can't afford car insurance, they can't afford to live on their own because of everything being so expensive. So my hope is that we have major change.
Meanwhile, Kelly Harris says she hopes for a peaceful election and that nothing violent occurs. Harris says she wants the new leader to unite the country.
Well, my biggest hope and prayer is that we have a peaceful election cycle without any violence. Big fear is concerns about the violence, potential violence, expectations of the new president would be to rule in fairness and what is in the best interest of majority of the people here.
Demetrius says equal representation is what he wants and that all voices are heard.
We have too much fear, other than I hope that those who cannot speak up for themselves are able to have a voice that represents them.
According to a Trump supporter, no matter how people look the other way, he says life was definitely harder 4 years ago.
And so people want to deny all they want, but what they can't deny is it costs them more to live today than it did 3.5 years ago.
Tuesday next week is the last chance for Marylanders to cast their vote to make sure their voices are heard by casting that ballot. But until then, these fears and hopes linger in voters' thoughts. Rosel Feria, Baltimore, Maryland for NET25 World News.
To California now, where early voting is drawing voters out to cast their presidential picks. And one voter shares with our NET25 Los Angeles team why she thinks if one does not vote, they cannot complain. Eva Basalia has that story.
Throughout California, early vote centers have opened, with more locations scheduled to become operational in the days to follow. In Los Angeles, voters are turning up ahead of the November 5 election to back their candidate for U.S. president.
I was checked in fairly quickly. I was helped to the ballot box area, and I was assisted in getting my ballot form properly inserted. I did the casting of my vote, and it was good.
Voters like Olivia not only express what issues Californians are focused on, but also voice how the nation should move forward together, regardless of who wins the election.
Reproductive rights, environmental health, climate change, and how it affects the U.S. So those are two that are really important to me. I have family members that may feel it's going to be difficult probably migrating to this country if they so choose, depending on whoever wins the election. And even those who don't want to come to America, I mean, everybody's watching. All eyes are on America right now. So I think whether you're American or not, you're invested. However it goes, we all need to remember that as Americans, we are each other's brothers and sisters. So no matter which way it goes, just act as you would if your grandmother was watching you. Act civilly, no matter what. I always say, if you're not going to exercise your right to vote, then you have no right to complain. If you don't vote, don't complain. So that's what I say to that. I think it's important, essentially.
The last time California's Electoral College votes went to the Republicans was way back in 1988, when George H.W. Bush defeated Michael Dukakis. Regardless, many in this deep blue state don't view their vote as a formality, but instead as a responsibility incumbent upon all Americans. Reporting from Los Angeles, California, Eva Basayahe for NET25 World News.
The news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back.
Ang mga maiinit na balita
at rumaratsyad ng usapan ng bayan,
ihahatid namin sa 100%!
100% ang pagbabalita!
100% talakayan!
Lunes hanggang Biyernes!
Alas 5 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga!
Live na live sa Radyo Agila 1062 Mega Manila!
At sa NET25! 100%!
Sa NET25, let's net together. Sa NET25.
A groundbreaking digital companion is offering new hope in the global fight against dementia.
I'm the world's first artificial intelligence created with input from real people living with dementia. They've shared all their experiences and wisdom with me, so I can share it with you and help with any questions or thoughts you might have.
Meet Liv, an innovative AI avatar designed to support those living with Alzheimer's and dementia. Her knowledge comes from the collective experiences of hundreds who live with the condition daily. While an actress provided Liv's basic appearance, her features were thoughtfully crafted to reflect many who contributed to her development. This initiative, called Alzheimer's Intelligence, emerged from a partnership between Innovations in Dementia, Lenovo, and Exeter University.
In terms of the kind of information and support that they're given. And this AI, which was developed with the support and by Lenovo, pulls together the wisdom and experience of real people living with dementia, people with a diagnosis of dementia themselves, to educate a form of artificial intelligence which is there to support people who might be sitting at home following their diagnosis, wondering, well, what happens now?
Among the contributors was 54-year-old Gail Gregory, who received her Alzheimer's diagnosis in 2019.
Yes, I love to paint.
Painting can be so soothing.
So that people with dementia can be supported for longer. So as independence, which is a big thing, we want to stay independent. So by the use of something like this, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the AI person will be able to also help us around the home.
And before we go, I would like to greet our beloved INC Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Manalo. Brother Eduardo, very happy birthday po. And words are not enough to express my utmost gratitude and respect for you po. Thank you very much po for everything. Happy birthday po. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you for joining us. Good night.